Hello, first-class listeners. Welcome to the Train Stop Podcast. I'm your host, Anastasios Klimos, a.k.a. the Greek Freak. I'm joined today by Spence Moke. Spence, hi to the beautiful people.
Tasos, you know how I feel. Oh my gosh.
We're good.
Oh my gosh. This is our first day back in the studio in probably 3 months.
Yeah, that's right, because the podcasts we've been doing have been through Zoom. So yeah,
Zoom.
this is our first in-studio.
I might be blacking out behind the mic right now.
March or February. Could have been February.
Yeah.
Holy shit, that's a long time.
It is June 6th?
June 9th.
Oh, 69. It's National Sex Day today.
There you go. Nice.
Me and Tasos in the studio on National Sex Day. That shows you what we're doing.
Not partaking in the holiday, unfortunately. But this is our fourth attempt to record it. We haven't done it in a while, so we kind of lost the rhythm. But we're here. We're back. Welcome back to the Train Stop Podcast. Life's crazy. The world's crazy. So we had to go away for a little bit. I mean, we had a couple episodes thrown in there, but
yeah, some Zoom calls.
We're back normal now. This is the normal setup in studio, behind the mics, good sound quality.
I know you missed Tasso's beautiful voice on his great mic.
We're back, baby.
Oh, man.
The world is starting. Well, the world's still, we're in a messed up place, but we're starting. Some things are starting to get back to normal. We're starting to creep back to life. Missed you guys. We're happy to be back.
No better way to bring it back than the two OGs, huh?
Nope, exactly. This is how the podcast started. This is how we're rebooting it. Just a little update. So we were gone for a little bit, not because we were quitting or anything. Just like I said, the coronavirus and then everything going on. It was tough. John and Logan aren't here because it's kind of a last-minute thing, but they're still part of the show. No need to worry about that. Although John still has not purchased Logan's mic.
Yeah,
John has now been on the team.
I don't know what you could be buying during this whole quarantine thing.
He's gotta have money saved
dude,
up.
No. This dude's got a $5,000 bank withdrawal for OnlyFans. That's what it is.
He's got to pass. That's why whenever we talk to him, he's like, "I'm busy." He's past the time. He's got a lot of OnlyFans subscriptions going on right now.
Pornhub gave him that free week, and after that, he's like,
Pornhub.
I love this shit.
Then he was on Brazzers. He had a little bit of everything, and then he decided to go to the OnlyFans market. So. But yeah, he's on the team for like a year and a half now, and he still hasn't bought a mic. He's still using Logan's, but we'll figure that out.
Zamucha.
But before we get into the main show, so what we're talking today, we're talking about sports are finally coming back. That's the other thing. When we were talking about doing episodes during this quarantine, we kind of were struck with what would we talk about because sports were dead. But finally, the lights showing. Sports are coming back. We have soccer back already, but basketball's on the horizon. Hockey's on the horizon. Baseball, not so much, but we're going to talk about that. A lot to talk about, but before we get into that, I feel like we got to say something about it. It's kind of sweeping the nation. It's a tragedy, but the George Floyd situation, I'm going to start off by saying this right off the bat. I'm a white man. I don't feel like I am educated enough to talk about some of these things. I don't, you know what I mean? Like, I don't come from personal experience. Obviously, white privilege. You know,
I do my best.
Do our best. Like I can't speak on behalf of people of things I don't know.
Do the things. Go sign the petitions. Try to move the movement forward.
Yeah.
Just when you're doing it, when you're out there partaking in these movements, in these protests, just stay safe.
To quote Jackie Moon, everybody love everybody. To me, if you follow that, like that would end a lot of these problems. You know, it's sad. It's kind of nice to see. That not kind of nice, very nice to see that change is coming on the horizon for that too. Like we're finally starting to hear about reform
and
for some
defunding
things
some police department. Like the fact that I forgot how $5.6 billion. I don't really want to get into it, but
he's a math guy, but we don't have the numbers. In front of us.
It is something around $5.6 billion are being funded into the New York Police Department. That's a lot of money.
A lot of money. But yeah, so we're starting to see some change coming. I think the riots have kind of died down. The protests are not, which is good. The riots have died down.
Keep the protests going.
Yep, keep the protests going. We have a lot of marches. I said do what you can to support the movement, but be safe. Don't be stupid. Don't do anything that could get you hurt or someone else hurt. You know, protest, but be smart. That's what I've kind of been telling people.
Go read up.
Do your research.
Educate yourself. Do your best.
You know, it's been a crazy.
We need a lot of change in this
country. We went right from Corona.
We are moving in the correct direction.
Yeah. That's the one thing is like.
Just keep moving forward.
I was thinking today about it. Is like you learn like in high school about maybe before high school, but you learn about the civil rights movement and you learn about segregation and you think that's ancient history. That happened like 60, 70 years ago. And then you find out like not everything was fixed. Like we're still.
That's the craziest part to me. They needed a whole movement for civil rights.
Yeah.
Not equal rights.
Civil rights. That's crazy. That's
in my head. That is so messed up.
Yeah.
That they needed a movement, but I don't, dude.
Yeah, it's crazy. That's what I was thinking about today. Is like it's kind of crazy that you grow up kind of with this idea that all right, racism kind of died with the civil rights movement like 60 years ago, and little do you know, I don't want to say it was worse. I think we're definitely better off now than we were 60, 70 years ago. There's no segregation, but we are still a far ways away from attaining that kind of equality that we need in this country. So it's sad, but it's also, it's sad obviously to see how the George Floyd situation, how it played out. But, it's also nice to see that terrible event has evolved into a positive change. But I feel like we had to talk about it. We got to address it because at the end of the day,
we're doing our best. We're doing our best and stay non-controversial.
And like I said, I personally, I didn't want to talk about it in depth because, like I said, personally, I don't have the background knowledge. You know what I mean? I can't speak from experience because obviously I have not experienced what people have in the African American community, and I'm not as educated as I should be, and I'm working on that. But I'm not as educated to speak on behalf of people that have suffered. I can't speak for them. So that's why I don't want to. I don't want to attempt to say anything I don't want to speak for somebody when I haven't experienced it, if that makes sense. But I do want to say, keep it up, keep the protests coming, keep supporting the Black Lives Matter movement. We have to. Like I said, everybody love everybody. Let's just treat each other like human beings. Doesn't matter what color your skin is or how. We're all one people. Everybody love everybody. Jackie Moon. I've been listening to. So before we get into the show, we're a couple sports leagues in the area we're involved with. The Rose City Wiffle Ball League.
Oh, jeez.
I'm here to announce now. I'm not supposed to. It was a secret. The league starts this week. My walk-up song. We're bringing a speaker to every game.
You guys have walk-up songs?
Yes. Well, my team does. Josh has a big speaker that we're bringing to the games.
Oh, I need a walk-up song then.
We have 3 songs for each player for situations.
I know exactly.
My first at-bat walk-up song, Love Me Sexy by Jackie Moon. And I've been listening to the song because I got a little dance prepared when I go up to bat. So I've been preparing. So I've been listening to Love Me Sexy constantly.
I golfed in high school, so I did not take part of baseball. But at Dodge Stadium, you probably don't. Nobody knows what Dodge Stadium is, but it's the little minor league baseball.
What are you talking about, Spence? It's the home of the former CT Navigators.
I know, but if we have people that are
who in Colorado haven't heard of the CT Navigators?
Okay, so it's the minor league baseball stadium that my high school took part of. Used in order to play their home games, and they got walk-up songs. And I always thought to myself, if I didn't golf and I stuck with baseball, what would my walk-up song be? And I think it's the intro to "Bottoms Up" by Trey Songz, where he goes, "Oh, it's Mr. Steer Girl."
Mine, I think so. We have 3 songs. So at first we did 1 song, and then Josh pointed out players have certain songs for certain situations sometimes, which I agreed. So my first, I'm going to announce them here, even though I was supposed to keep them a secret. My first one is "Love Me Sexy" by Jackie Moon. My second song is "Careless Whisper" by George Michaels. And
you gotta be shitting me.
And then my third song is "Wild Thing" from the movie Major League.
So when the hell would you have to use? Like, what situation is what happened?
So, "Love Me Sexy" is always my first at bat. That's how I get into the game. That's how I get the flow going. "Careless Whisper" is every other at bat after that, before my last. So, "Wild Thing" is only for those last at bat, like end of the game situations where you need the wild thing. The "Careless Whisper", I picked it just because it's the most like non-baseball song you can think of. Like, I was trying to think what would be the stupidest song to walk into that doesn't hype you up, doesn't anything. The jazz song. "Careless Whisper" is a great song, but it's not a baseball song, so I picked that one. But there's gonna be some funny stuff going on in that league. But talking about Jackie Moon made me think about that. But we also got the Franklin Flag Football League starting Sunday. Very excited about that.
Me too.
I need to run around. That's the other thing, too, is being quarantined, not having sports. I was playing soccer 3 to 4 times a week, and now I'm doing nothing.
Yeah.
Just started working out this week, so I definitely need some athletics in my life. But so that's coming for us. All right, moving into the show. Our first topic, a little controversial, I guess. I've talked about it on the show before. I kind of struggled before show if I should even talk about it. Even now saying it, I'm thinking, should I even talk about it? It's the Colin Kaepernick thing. So we talked about the Black Lives Matter movement and the protests and everything. From that, this new, I don't want to call it a movement, it's kind of a trend, I'd say, on Twitter, is people calling for Colin Kaepernick to be placed in the NFL. Listen, I've said it before on this show, and I'll say it again. I have never had a problem with him kneeling or his message. I support the message. I supported Colin Kaepernick in the beginning. That being said, just because of that, I don't think he deserves... just the notion that, like, because of everything going on, Colin Kaepernick should be in the NFL. It's like, why does this qualify him for the NFL? Because of everything going on, he deserves a job. Listen, again, my gripe with him isn't about the kneeling or his views. I agree with his views about inequality in America. My problem with Colin Kaepernick is a strictly sports one, in the sense that I just don't think Colin Kaepernick is good enough to be a starting quarterback. And I do think he's good enough to be a backup, but he's screwed himself in those situations. We've talked about it before. I mean, we talked about the Baltimore Ravens situation with when he compared Ray Lewis and the Ravens owner to characters from Django Unchained. We talked about how John Elway and the Broncos wanted him. We talked about how he wore Fidel Castro's shirt to a meeting with the Miami Dolphins. I mean, we covered why he's not been in the NFL. And then also, like I said, the AAF offered him a job. He said he wanted $20 million. The XFL offered him a job. I want $20 million. The NFL teams have offered him. He wants a starting job. He did the workout thing a couple months ago, and he ended up not going with the NFL. Did his own thing because he wanted his documentary crew and his own camera people and this and that. So that's my thing. This whole movement of like, oh, Colin Kaepernick needs to be in the NFL in a way to support the Black Lives Matter movement, to me is not... Do you want to know how I think the Black Lives Matter movement should be affecting the NFL? We should see more black coaching hires. We should see more black GM hires. We should see more African-American people in the league in general. But Colin Kaepernick in specific, yeah. And also quarterbacks...
Like, there's no reason that Eric Bieniemy from the Kansas City Chiefs should not be a head coach.
Exactly. The fact that I think... What is the number? I think we have 3 black head coaches right now.
Go Fins, baby.
That's crazy. And that's where I think the Black Lives Matter movement...
Honestly, look at what Brian Flores did with the Dolphins last year. I don't see how that doesn't... Like, the culture that he brings to the locker room, I'm just saying, like, all that should show people that maybe a person of color is good for your lot. Like, as a head position... is good for the lot, and he is. He's great. He's wonderful. So I just don't see why more black coaches are not hired.
Yeah,
I really don't understand how there's only 3 of them.
Yeah, my opinion was always
the game is dominated by
African American athletes.
Yeah,
my take used to be like teams should not be forced to hire somebody they don't want to hire. That being said, I know I can go off a list of so many different really good, people of color that should be head coaches. Eric Bieniemy, who was the 49ers defensive coordinator last year?
Oh, dude, who's the Dallas Cowboys secondary coach?
Yeah, I mean, even Romeo Crennel, who was the Texans defensive coordinator. I mean, there's so many people of color that should be at least getting the shot to be a head coach. The problem is they throw someone like Marvin Lewis or Hugh Jackson in there and expect it to be fun.
Yeah, I was just about to say, like, you can't look at Hugh Jackson and Marvin Lewis and base your coaching hire on that.
Yeah, there's a lot of great African-American coaches that deserve a shot. That's where I think you can progress the Black Lives Matter movement in the NFL. Having more charity and more donations to minorities and minority... trying to think of the word, communities, stuff like that. That's where the NFL can progress the Black Lives Matter movement. This notion that, like, Colin Kaepernick being on an NFL team will progress the Black Lives Matter movement. Again, I maybe it will. I don't know. Just from my perspective, like, people who are like, oh, the Minnesota Vikings should sign Colin Kaepernick to make things right. Why?
They shouldn't have to eat up a lot. If he's willing to sign for a backup quarterback contract on the Minnesota Vikings to progress the movement like he wants to do,
yeah,
you're gonna have to cut out the supposed to. Like,
Yeah.
Okay.
Fine.
Cut out that too. Then I am 100% with signing with the Vikings, and I think it would be huge progression for the NFL and the Black Lives Matter movement.
Yeah.
But if he wants $20 million, it's a business.
Yeah.
It
and
is
a starting job.
It is.
Like, that's what I mean. Like, that's...
Listen, he could go in there,
And
sign for, what, $4 million?
Yeah.
$10 million for 2 years, like Fitzpatrick did for the. I just know I don't have numbers in front of me.
Yeah.
So I just know that Fitzpatrick signed for $10 million for 2 years with the Dolphins. He signs one of those contracts and he fights for the job and beats Kirk Cousins out for the job. Great.
Mm-hmm.
Great. I know he's got the talent. I've seen him in 14. Whenever he was with the first stint with the Niners when he was solid.
Yeah. I've
seen him do it. But you can't just do a workout in street clothes and expect a starting job.
Yeah, or because of this movement, expect special. I don't want to say special treatment. I just don't like the notion that like people are basically saying because of the George Floyd murder,
he should be handed
a job because it'll help the movement. Not saying him going in the NFL isn't helping the movement, but this notion that NFL, hey, call up the Minnesota Vikings, put him on your team now. That's the team's decision to say, you know what? I think he's good for my team. I don't think he's good for my team. To tell them like, no, you need to sign Colin Kaepernick. If a team doesn't want Colin Kaepernick, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Again, that's coming from someone I never believed he was blackballed. Maybe not by. I don't believe by the whole league.
And if you think the Baltimore Ravens blackballed Colin Kaepernick,
yeah, go talk to Ray Lewis and the owner and ask them what happened.
Who is their starting quarterback right now?
Yeah. Lamar Jackson. Like, come on. Like, people who are like that's the one thing I will say. It's good to see that African-American quarterbacks are really starting. I mean, Deshaun Watson, Lamar Jackson.
Even he's light. I know he's light-skinned.
Yeah, but he's still considered.
He's part of that community.
Kyler Murray. You know, we're starting to see, and coming up, Justin Fields at Ohio State's coming up. You know, there are people of color who are starting to come into the
Washington's
league.
quarterback, even though he's
Dwayne
not that good.
Yeah, but we're starting to see people getting more opportunities as quarterbacks, which was never the case. It used to be if you're quarterback, you're white. Generally, that's how it always was. But now we're starting to see more people of color, which is good. But again, like I said, Colin Kaepernick, to me, I just don't see the evidence of him being blackballed when there's I know for a fact from reading articles and reading from team representatives, at least 6 teams have either offered him a contract or attempted to sign him. And he, on his own, screwed up the situation.
Out of the league for so long.
That's the other thing.
How is a team going to offer him $20 million a year?
I said it to my sister jokingly. At this point, you might as well just sign Donovan McNabb. He's been out of the league the same amount. They both got out of the league in 2016, I think. Donovan McNabb retired in 2016, and Kaepernick left the NFL. I mean, they've both been out for 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
That's a long time. It's a long time away from the game. And the other thing, too, is, I could talk a while about this because I feel very passionately about Colin. Again, not about his message. I agree with his message about him as a player and people who believe because of his message he deserves a spot. I don't think he deserves a spot because of his message. I think if in sports, you deserve a spot on a team based on your athletic ability and your skill level, not on your off-the-field stuff. But even if you look at his numbers, I was comparing it the other day. His career year, last year's number-wise, he'd be the 24th ranked quarterback in the league. Which is still, and that's what I've always said. He deserves a roster spot.
100%.
But to sit here and say, like, oh, he needs to be a starting quarterback, and it's not happening. Especially for a guy who hasn't. The game's changed a lot from 2014 to 2020. It's a lot more passing. He wasn't the best passer. He was kind of like Lamar. He was kind of like.
He has a rocket for an arm.
Accuracy,
but it's Josh Allen.
Yeah, exactly. He's kind of, and it's Lamar. He was kind of like a weaker
Lamar
Jackson.
But he's not as good as a runner as Lamar Jackson is. Lamar Jackson is a freak.
And remember, he was looked at as super athletic 5-6 years ago. Remember, he's 32 years old now. He is older than Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
I just think that's got to be taken into account. So that's why I just wanted to touch on a little bit because people who, again, I'm with the Black Lives Matter movement. I'm with more people of color getting more opportunity. But also the Cam Newton thing. People who are like, Cam Newton needs to be a starting quarterback now. If we're talking about Cam Newton from 2015, just like we're talking about Colin Kaepernick from 2014.
This is my feelings on Cam Newton. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
If he wants a job now, it's probably going to be a backup position.
Yeah.
If he wants to start, you hold out to the middle of the season
And hope that something happens.
Something happens to some quarterback, right? So it's going to happen in one team. If it's an upper tier team, like say Dak Prescott goes down, say, like, I don't know. Carson Wentz in Philly goes down. You sign Cam Newton.
Or imagine like Jimmy G, because who's their backup?
Nobody.
Jimmy G goes down. Niners bringing Cam Newton.
Well, I don't think Carson Wentz going down would sign Cam Newton.
Because they had Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
But the point is basically like if he holds out, let's say an injury happens,
he will get a starting job if an upper. I'm not saying a bottom tier team. I'm not saying if
Jacksonville decides we're done with Gardner Minshew.
Gardner Minshew goes down. They will not sign Cam Newton. They don't want to win games.
They want Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah. Jared Stidham goes down. No offense, Tasos.
I
don't think they go out and sign Cam Newton.
I don't want them to. I'm not trying to bring him on board.
I want Cam Newton to be back in the league. I really do. Really fun to watch.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that his shoulder is healthy. He's a top-tier quarterback when he is. But again, it's cap space, and you can't sign somebody. And, like, these teams with rookie quarterbacks, a lot of young quarterbacks in the game, you can't bring in Cam Newton to take their minutes away.
Yeah, because then make them look bad too.
Yeah.
The other thing too is I kind of think when you kind of gotta put yourself in this mindset is remember a lot of these GMs and coaches, they don't, unless you're someone who's been there forever and won Super Bowls, and even look at Tom Coughlin, he wasn't safe in with the New York Giants after winning 2 Super Bowls.
Yeah.
You have very little time to make an impact. Every move you make is one step closer to you getting fired if it's a wrong one.
Yeah.
So all these people who are like, oh, get Kaepernick, these GMs are fighting for their lives every year to keep their job, and they're not going to take that kind of a risk.
Yeah.
When their jobs, the same thing with head coaches. My thing with Cam Newton is if he's healthy, 100% is a starting quarterback. The problem is that he hasn't been healthy in 2 years. We watched it when we saw in person. We saw that Panthers-Saints game.
He's just inaccurate. Can't hit anything downfield.
The shoulder is just messed up.
I hope it's better.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm not praying for his downfall. I'm hoping he comes back. But the notion, I keep saying notion a lot.
Tasos and I are big fans of good football.
Good football. That's the thing. That's Kaepernick too. If Colin Kaepernick comes back and let's say he's amazing, no problem. Because you know what? It's better football for me to see Colin Kaepernick. And he's playing at a high level. Better football. But if he's not, like I said, Cam Newton, the same thing. I remember betting on that Panthers-Bucs Week 2 game. I bet on Cam Newton and the Panthers, and I watched that game every second. I had a big bet on the line. He could not hit 5-yard passes because of how bad his shoulder was. Not on him as a skill-wise. His shoulder was so messed up, he could not hit 5-yard passes to a wide-open receiver. If that's the Cam Newton we're talking about, no team's going to give him a starting job.
Yeah.
But he has to show, like, that's the, I think, I don't know if I tweeted it today or I was going to tweet it. He's got to make his way back. Like, you can't just expect teams to think, like, no one's thinking about, 2015 Cam Newton.
And look at this. This is, Jameis Winston is the 3rd quarterback on that roster.
And he threw for 5,200 yards last year and 33 touchdowns.
The most in the league.
Mm-hmm. And he's the 3rd string quarterback.
3rd string quarterback because he is accepting his role.
And you know what? He'll be paid for it next year.
Yeah.
Just like Teddy Bridgewater was. And that's the thing. But Cam Newton finally changed that stance. In the beginning, he was like, I'm not signing unless I'm a starter. Now he's saying he will take a backup job, but for the right team. I think he's waiting for a situation where the backup has a chance to start.
Yeah.
Maybe a Chicago situation, although they have Nick Foles now. But, yeah. So that's my thing on those. Colin Kaepernick, I don't think he's coming back to the National Football League. I think too much time has passed now. It's been 5 years. I mean, and then people who were like, Cam, the same thing with you kind of pointing this out to me last week. When I talked about John. Me and John were throwing passes. And I remember telling Spencer's chat, hey, John was looking really good throwing those balls out there. Like, he looks like he could have been a high school quarterback. And you pointed out to me, everybody can look good when you're in shorts and a t-shirt throwing to a wide open guy with no pressure in your face. Anyone can look good as long as you have some talent throwing the ball.
Yeah, you have decent mechanics.
You can look good. You can look good in a workout. Yeah. So people who were like, "Oh, Cam Newton." The other day he posted a video and like, "Look at Cam Newton. He looks scary."
Yeah,
I guarantee you, if you put Brett Favre on a football field right now, who's 52 years old, you would watch him throw and you'd say, why isn't he in the NFL?
Yeah.
Because as long as you have the mechanics and you're athletic.
Who else? You put Johnny Manziel out there.
And you're going to say, wow, why doesn't Johnny Manziel have a job?
You put any Canadian football quarterback out there.
Yeah. And with no pads, no defense, no pressure, just throwing to a wide open receiver.
You see those high school quarterbacks that are where they're working out at some gym, like the Clemson commit, the Ohio State commit, and the Alabama commit.
Yeah,
are all working out in that gym. They have absolute missiles for arms.
Mm-hmm. Doesn't mean
they're in shorts and t-shirt.
Yeah.
Thrown to a wide open dude.
That's the one thing, like the Colin Kaepernick workout and the Cam Newton workout the other day. People who are going on Twitter are going nuts, like, "Oh, sign this guy! Like, he needs to come back!" Like, and I'll be honest, I would joke, like, if Matt Moore they posted a video of that, of course I would do that. But seriously though, like, I would never take somebody's film of them throwing in a shorts and a t-shirt and say, "Why does this guy not have a starting job in the NFL?" Because, like I said, you could take any retired quarterback, even Terry Bradshaw in his old age. I'm sure if he threw the football, his mechanics wouldn't look too bad.
Exactly.
So that's the other thing. So, yeah, I just wanted to cover that because it kind of annoyed me a little bit with, like, again, Black Lives Matter movement is important, and we need to make sure the NFL is on board with it, too, with the change. But that change, in my mind, isn't forcing guys who don't deserve to be there as a starting quarterback to be there. Now, I'm not saying Cam Newton doesn't deserve it because Cam Newton was a starter just a year ago. I'm just saying, like, if he's not 100% and he's not the guy he was, I don't think it's fair to the teams to say, hey, you need to make this guy a starting quarterback. Because to me, it's a business, and it's you're trying to win games. Yeah. If you don't think Cam Newton's going to win you games, or you don't think Colin Kaepernick can win you games.
Or if you're not trying to win games. It's also a stance.
Exactly.
Like, some teams are just not going to sign Cam Newton because he just wins too many games.
No, exactly. That's people
and it puts them in the middle, and it makes them stuck in the middle, and that is the worst spot to be in the NFL.
Ask John.
Because you are just 7-9 every year, 6-10, 8-8. 9-7.
It's not a good spot. And that's the other thing. Like, that's the other thing. People, no shit.
You just get shitty draft picks, and middle tier draft picks. You're stuck in the middle. Your quarterback is pretty damn good, but you can't get him help. You can't do anything. Your defense is mediocre. You just can't fill the spots that you need to fill, and you're just stuck in the middle for a long ass time. The Oakland Raiders.
Yep. Las Vegas Raiders now.
Las Vegas Raiders.
Although we don't know because they haven't been stuck in the mud forever. The Oakland Raiders have, so we got to see if maybe changing cities changes them. But no, and I agree. And that's the other thing where, like, people who are on the internet are like, oh, Cam Newton could easily be the starting quarterback over Gardner Minshew. No shit. But at the end of the day, are the Jaguars trying to win games right now?
Are they going
to sacrifice Trevor Lawrence the next 10 years of their franchise for 1 year of maybe 6 wins with Cam Newton?
15 years of their franchise?
Yeah. For maybe a year of a 5-6 win season with Cam Newton.
Be fun to watch for 5 games.
Yeah.
But they'd
be more competitive.
Hating themselves.
Yeah.
Hating themselves.
It makes no sense. All these teams are like at the bottom.
I'm telling you, if say he does go to then all of a sudden you have to spend the rest of your lives knowing that you signed Cam Newton, and you're going to have to watch Trevor Lawrence for the next 12 years in I don't even know. Whatever the second.
England.
No, they're gonna win 6 games, and Tasos is gonna hate himself.
But I was thinking that's the other thing we got to think about. There's only 2 teams that need a quarterback right now. The NFL right now, the majority of teams either have a quarterback locked in, or
you don't pass them.
They have a guy who's kind of like iffy. There's 2 guys. There's 2 teams. The Patriots and the Jaguars, in my mind, are the only 2 teams that don't have any sort of and they have Minshew and Stidham, but they're not at least not now. Every other team, when you think about it, they either have a veteran who's locked in or they have a rookie who they're not sure about yet, but they're not going to give up on him yet. Like, you could say Washington could take Cam Newton, but they don't even know what they have in Dwayne Haskins yet. They're not going to bench him.
But, like, there's still things like if Dwayne Haskins comes out and is not good, like he has another really terrible season. If Jared Goff comes out, has another really terrible season.
Actually, it would be kind of fun to see Cam Newton, Adrian Peterson, little put those 2 on the same team, throwing a Terry McLaurin.
If Carson Wentz gets hurt again, there's some teams that like you really think that they have a quarterback, but they're like one slip up away from needing
help, and that's where Cam Newton come in
to just switch it up. You know?
I don't think he's signing anytime soon. I think he'll sign.
No, it'll be middle of the season. I guarantee week 8 and he'll be on a football team.
Yeah.
Somewhere. I don't know where.
There's really 2 routes to go. It's either wait until something happens or to go the Jameis Winston route, which is
no. I believe that he should wait. He can rehab his shoulder longer. He can get a starting job, what he ultimately wanted.
Yeah.
And you know what? He'll be on most likely a roster that is in the position to win.
Yeah, because I think Jameis Winston needed the help. I think he needed.
He never got it. He never got it.
So I think he couldn't afford to sit out because Cam Newton. That's the thing. He's not a young guy who needs to learn. Cam Newton is an MVP. It's just he's battling in through injuries, trying to come back.
And if you think Jameis Winston got help from Ryan Fitzpatrick, I guarantee you, Fitzpatrick was more concerned about fighting for that job and getting that paycheck than helping out Jameis Winston.
Exactly. And I think the Saints, I think Drew Brees will help him out. I think that the whole organization is going to work hard to help Jameis out because that's just what they know. But, so that's talking about that. So moving on. Although, one last thing. So people are saying that Taysom Hill is the absolute future of the Saints. Are they not even considering Jameis? Because I'm
considering Jameis.
He just. Do you see what they just posted today?
He got LASIK,
and he lost almost 20 pounds.
Oh no! I'm telling you right now, Jameis Winston has a shit ton of talent.
I think he's one of the top 15 quarterbacks in the league, no problem. You don't throw 5,200 yards and 33 touchdowns. I know he threw 30 picks. You don't put up those numbers if you don't have some serious talent. When you watch him play, he is one of the most fun quarterbacks to watch in the NFL. For the interceptions too.
For a lot of reasons.
But he's fun to watch.
All right, I know it's 4 years ago, but him at Florida State was something to watch.
He's an electric quarterback. He's fun to watch. When he's whipping that ball through the air, it's fun to watch. He's got a cannon. He's got a howitzer for an arm.
Howitzer.
He's fun to watch.
I understand.
I'm actually gonna miss watching
I understand.
him.
Last year he was thrown to Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, but you still got to throw to him.
Well, it's not like he was playing bad before. I mean, the interceptions have always been an issue, but he's always been putting up good numbers.
Fucking see.
Yeah, and he's got LASIK now, so he's fine.
He can't see.
He was Jameis Squinting.
Yeah.
That was his nickname, Jameis Squinting, because he couldn't see, and now he can. I was actually hoping a team would give him a shot just because I think that with everything he changed in the offseason, he would come back and, the Billy Madison where the dodgeball scene is, you're all in big trouble now. That'd be Jameis Winston. But I think Jameis. Now, Marcus Mariota, on the other hand, who I actually always liked more than Winston, I think Mariota probably never gets another shot to be a franchise guy.
Yeah.
I think Winston will be, within the next 2 years, the go-to
Because honestly, Ryan Tannehill came into that system
and beat him out, no problem.
And showed the Titans how fucking easy it is to win in that.
With that system.
Run first, read, whatchamacallit.
Yeah, read option.
No.
Not read option.
Play action pass system. How easy it was to win with Derrick Henry as your running back.
Yeah, super easy. And it makes Marcus Mariota look so bad, the fact that you couldn't do anything with that offense. Tannehill came in mid-season and rocked the system. Like, he was one of the best quarterbacks in the league.
Yeah.
And we all saw what he did in Miami.
I mean, he won games. He didn't put up good numbers. He just won football games.
He was that Cam Newton, that 7-9, 8-8 quarterback.
Yeah.
He was also very injury prone.
Yeah. Well, yeah. We'll see how it goes. Titans should be good.
We'll see. They lost a lot of talent. They lost Jarrell Casey. They lost Jack Conklin. So we'll see. I'm still kind of upset with the Titans for beating New England and ending the dynasty, but it's okay. We'll get revenge in time. But all right, moving on. So we got a kind of one big topic, but 3 subtopics, I guess. Sports are coming back. So obviously we haven't had sports since March when the NBA shut down and the NHL shut down. But this past couple weeks, the path has been laid out for the return of sports. When being totally honest, I didn't think we'd get this. I actually thought the NBA would cancel the season. I thought the NHL would cancel the season. I thought that we wouldn't get sports back until the next sports season. I'm shocked at the fact that they're letting it come back.
Let me tell you something. I was at the beach today. It was packed.
Yeah.
If they don't fucking let fans into these NFL games, I'm going to be tight.
Especially the one year the Mulketines got season tickets to the fence. They
exactly.
don't let them in.
You see this Tua jersey on my chest right now? If I'm not in Hard Rock Stadium, Probably drunk out of my balls.
You got to. I mean, maybe the later games. I don't. It's an interesting topic on its own. The fact that like everybody just kind of like forgot Corona happened, and everyone's just in life's just kind of going like normal for a lot of things.
Yeah. You know what? At the end of the day, I thought Corona was completely blown out of proportion. It was just another.
Still serious. Like, it killed a lot of people, but
yeah. But flu kills just as many.
Yeah. It is crazy. Like, the society just kind of, I don't know when it happened. Just all of a sudden, like, snap of the finger, like, people are just going to the beach. I'm going out and playing soccer again. It's just, things are kind of just going back. Like, you're doing things now. There's still, obviously, like, restaurants are still closed and stuff, but we're kind of getting
June
back
17th.
Yeah. We're getting there.
For Connecticut, at least.
For Connecticut. A lot of, like, Texas is just, they're like 100% open, and they've been 100% open.
Oh, yeah. I watched a YouTuber. His gym's been open forever.
Yeah. Rhode Island, their gym's open like last week, so I mean, we're getting there. But so professional sports, I mean, soccer's been back for at least German soccer this week. Spain comes back, England comes back next week.
Yeah.
But for the NBA, the NHL, all that stuff, we finally have a plan. And I also think that by these people coming back, the NBA and stuff, I think it guarantees the NFL and college football won't be touched, at least with no fans. Now, with fans is the other thing we got to figure out, but. That's the one thing that kind of keeps me happy is the fact that the NFL won't be affected in terms of the fact that, like, we're going to get games. The NFL season will start on schedule.
I saw a tweet, Tasos. I saw a tweet. So they were going to take NBA sounds and fill the stadium up to give it, like, a little...
Yeah, 2K sounds.
Yeah, give it a little feel. But I saw a tweet saying they should put a DJ in there and have it, like, an open gym and someone's just playing music the whole time. And they're just... You know how sick that would be?
That would be sick. So watching the German soccer, that's what they have done. They took crowd noise and filled it in. If you're listening to the game, you can't tell the difference. But when you're watching it, you can just tell by the energy of the players, and you can just tell when you're looking. You hear the noise and you want to think, "Oh, the fans are there," but then you look in the background, like soccer especially, which is really built on the crazy fans. Seeing nobody there it's weird. It's still weird. Soccer and it's still fun to watch, and the crowd noise at least kind of makes you feel like you're in it. But you can tell after a little bit, like, all right, this is just a speaker playing, people cheering. I need fans back. Hopefully that doesn't take too long to come back. But
should be soon, dude. The way things are going.
Yeah, everything's progressed. Although it sucks because if you see some states, they're starting to increase the coronavirus rates. Like some of the states that reopen early, they're starting to go up. Which kind of like I don't want to go back. Like I don't want to make all this progress forward just to come back to quarantine. I just don't. I can't do it again. I can't go back after. Like you can't give me hope and then just rip it from me.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping, at least in the Northeast, we can stay steady. But the NBA is coming back July 31st. We're gonna have
happy birthday to me.
There you go. We're gonna have. I don't think they're playing. Are they playing any games that day though? I think so. I think they're playing a game. So you might have some basketball.
I don't think you can say like, oh, we're bringing back the NBA season on
July
31st to have a game. Oh, we're just bringing it back.
But
that's the day we're officially.
That's stupid. That's a dumb on my part. But yeah, so the NBA's coming back. 24 teams are coming back. We're gonna have a little 8-game regular season. Then I guess an 8-seed play-in tournament for the 8 seed, and then just the regular NBA playoffs through October. Which is fine. It's basically the NBA final. The only difference
I just don't understand. I thought they should take those last 4 spots, 20 through 30, and had a little play-in for that. I would have liked watching Steph Curry and Klay Thompson go sick for that last spot, you know?
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing, too, is like people were talking about the Nets possibly with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, but those two are just buzzkills. They both shot it down at the same time. That's just typical Kyrie Irving.
What do you say?
It was the number one topic on sports talk shows was the Nets could be a championship threat with Kyrie and Kevin Durant. It was on Coward, Skip Bayless, all that stuff. Within an hour, Kyrie Irving came out and said, I'm not playing. And then Kevin Durant, an hour later, I'm not playing. My season's done. Kevin Durant, I mean, they both were hurt, so I respect it, but I also don't respect it because you're telling me that about 13 months removed from your Achilles tear, you're not going to be able to play? Kevin. You're telling me that Kobe Bryant, God rest his soul, came back in less than 12 months and played pretty good. You can't come back with this is now a couple years in the future with better medicine. You can't come back in 13 months to play for the Nets? Come on. Do you know how crazy the playoffs would be if you threw that in there? Because that would just throw an extra powerhouse in the game. Having Kevin Durant and Kyrie on the Nets in the playoffs make the East a lot more interesting. But so I mean, to me, people aren't talking about it enough. But I think the NHL is a little bit more exciting how they're doing it. So they're doing also 24 teams, but theirs is like basically a March Madness tournament. They're having a huge 24-team tournament where like it's just craziness. It's not the NHL playoffs like we know it.
There's 12 teams per bracket, and they're just going sick.
I've always said
bloodbath.
I think the NHL has a better playoff format than any team in the league. Like the NHL playoffs are better than anything. I think this sounds awesome.
Okay, so we're about to have. I
don't think it's single elimination.
We're about to have a month of NHL playoffs.
Mm-hmm. And NBA playoffs.
Jam-packed games. No,
Yes.
I'm saying, okay, NBA playoffs is sick, all right? But it's still going to be 8 teams on both sides.
Yeah.
We're about to have
a absolute
bloodbath of NHL playoffs.
24 teams.
You're telling me the most exciting, up there with March Madness.
Yeah.
NHL playoffs is up there.
I think it's better than every major sport with the exception of like March Madness. I think NHL playoffs is the best. I think it's better. The Super Bowl is obviously the Super Bowl, but I think in terms of the playoffs,
I didn't look into what the NHL was doing, but you're telling me that I'm about to have a 24-team playoff.
They're the top 4 seeds in each bracket. I don't know exactly the format, but I know it's 24 teams all in one tournament. The winners of their divisions from the regular season are that's how they're seeded. The Boston Bruins, as we speak, are the number 1 ranked team in the tournament. Very exciting. Very exciting. But that's what it sounds like, and that's the NHL. Nobody watches hockey. Well, not nobody, but the majority of people don't treat hockey like the sport it is. But if they took the time to watch the playoffs, it's just
no. I'm telling you, I bet you if they took the viewership from regular season to playoff hockey, there has to be the biggest jump.
Huge skyrocket. Because
I bet you playoff football from regular season to like a Monday night football game or a Thursday night football game to like the first round of the playoffs, there's not that big of a jump.
Yeah.
But I bet you if they took a playoff hockey game
compared to like a game in
a regular season game that's nationally televised,
yeah,
I bet you it's the craziest jump in viewership ever.
Because
out of every sport.
The energy is just completely different.
I bet you it's up there with Masters viewership and like the Travelers viewership.
It is. It's great. Like we talked about it on the podcast last playoff season. Like the NHL playoffs, there's just an energy to it because even the NBA playoffs, sometimes it kind of feels like, all right, if LeBron's in the playoffs, we know LeBron's making a deep run. We kind of know ahead of time what's going to happen for the most part. We know which teams are going deeper. But in hockey, I mean, look at last year. The Tampa Bay Lightning had the best regular season in NHL history. Got beat in the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah,
that doesn't happen in the NBA. Like, you don't see the Warriors 73-9 losing
to the
round.
Grizzlies.
No.
No.
But hockey, anything's possible. You could have an 18 win a championship. You could have anything's possible. That's why I love hockey. It's the most unpredictable playoffs of all. The fact that Tampa Bay had the best record of any, like, remember the Red Sox when they went 108 wins?
Yeah.
That would be like if that team got swept by the Yankees in the first round.
Yeah.
It's craziness. But so that's why I'm excited. But either way, it's good to see sports are back, and also the fact that there's no dog days of summer this year.
Don't we have a golf tournament next weekend? Don't we?
Yes, we do. Golf is back. Golf's the one I thought would come back sooner because there's really no contact.
No.
But they kind of came back with everybody.
Been playing League of Isles lately, Tasos. You have that little putter thing where you pick up the ball like a little stick, you know.
That's it. Like you don't really.
I work at a golf course. There's like 35 people on the tee at once in the morning.
Even if you play with somebody, as long as you walk.
No, dude. People ride cars.
Well, right. I don't. I'm just saying.
They ride their own
people are
separate
worried
cars.
About the distance, the 6 feet apart, golf's the easiest sport because you could easily keep yourself 6 feet apart at all times.
Exactly.
But I'm just so excited that sports are coming back. Like the NBA. And that's like I just said, there's no dog days of summer. That's the other thing, too, is we're not going into the regular season. We're jumping. We have maybe a couple games and right into the playoffs.
For every sport.
At the same. Basically, we took the best parts of winter sports and we're putting in the summertime. It sucks that we lost all the sports, but think about it. July and August usually sucks for sports. Mm-hmm. And now we're going to just have playoffs all the time, which is awesome.
They're not doing no Little League World Series or anything
No.
like that. That's completely
Hot take, I don't like the Little League World Series.
Oof.
It's the one sport I can't watch.
Oof.
I love baseball, but I cannot watch little kids play baseball and act like I'm super excited. Like, people at the restaurant will tell me, put Little League World Series on. I'd rather watch the Yankee game from last night than watch that.
Oof.
I am an anti-Little League World Series
Not even
guy.
if like a Connecticut team's in it?
Nope.
You won't root for them?
Nope. I follow it. Like, if it's on someone on Twitter, like they had the kid who was like 6'6" a couple years ago, or like whatever, 6'5", whatever. He was like massive for his age.
I hit dingers.
Yeah.
That guy?
I know some. I follow on Twitter what I can't. I don't watch it, though. I've never watched a Little League World Series game.
You don't even follow it when a kid says his favorite actress is Brandy Love?
Nope. I did see that one. I saw it on, like I said, on Twitter.
Dude, these kids are hilarious.
I have no clue who's won any of the last 10 championships.
I couldn't tell you either, but I know I watched it.
I didn't. I just can't. I try to.
I can tell you that Japan every year has a dude that throws 106 converted miles per hour from 45 feet.
Doesn't Japan make it every year to the final?
They almost do, yeah.
I think, like, right? I'm pretty sure every time, like, I'll put on Twitter, like, oh, the championship game, and I'm like, yeah, Japan's there, no shit. Japanese baseball players are incredible.
Every year, dude, they have this guy, you know, the conversion from 60 feet to 45 feet, what MLB, it's like, oh, it's converted to 112 miles per hour from the 60-foot mound.
Yeah.
Like, holy.
I don't know. I try, but it's like, at the end of the day, it's still just kids playing baseball. I'm like, I can just go to my local, well, I guess now I can't. But you can just go to your local neighborhood and go watch a Little League game, for that matter. Like, and it always annoys me because I'll go on TV looking for sports and be like, all right, what's on? And every ESPN channel, Little League World Series, Connecticut versus New York, and Little League World Series, Utah versus Idaho. And it's like, oh my God, do we really need this on every channel? It's like tennis for me. I can't watch, like, when they have, like, sometimes ESPN, when there's a major tennis tournament.
You know what it is with tennis? There's no crowd interaction besides tennis.
Not only that, but tennis to me is like, it's just kind of, no, I don't want to say like NASCAR. Very similar. It's just,
I can't listen.
One motion.
I can't listen to a guy grunt over and over and over again.
Yeah. Now, when Maria Sharapova is on, I can watch that.
You can.
I'm a big Maria Sharapova guy. I'm not gonna lie to you. But there are a couple sports.
Tennis is the only thing I think I don't watch.
I watch it more than
NASCAR.
anything else. NASCAR I don't watch.
I can't watch NASCAR. I apologize. I just can't watch it.
Nope. If the people listening, I'm sorry. I try. Listen, this is what I always tell, because at the restaurant,
I give everything a chance.
I give everything a chance, but if I don't like it, you can't force me to watch it. I keep up with everything though, like, because at the restaurant you never know. Someone could start talking about NASCAR. Someone could start talking about WNBA. I haven't watched a WNBA game in a while, but if you ask me, hey, how many points did Tina Charles score last night? I'll tell a customer, I think she scored like 25. Like, I follow it enough to keep a conversation up. But I don't watch. Like, NASCAR, I don't watch. I know some of the drivers. I know who won the race last night because I see it on Twitter on my Bleacher Report app. Did I watch even a second of the race? Nope. You know the last NASCAR race I watched? Talladega, Ricky Bobby. That's the last NASCAR race I watched. It was Talladega. What was the guy's name?
You want to know what?
Ricky Bobby. What was it? Oh, Cousteau? What was the guy? What was the French
Cousteau?
guy? Oh, it was Jean Girard.
Jean Girard.
When they both ran to the finish line. That was awesome.
What was it?
But NASCAR in general, I just can't get into it.
Yeah.
The last thing I do want to talk about, though, is baseball.
What a shit show.
Listen, I'm a baseball fan. Diehard Red Sox fan. But I'm being totally honest with you. If I wasn't a diehard Red Sox fan since a young age, MLB's kind of pushing me away. I think a lot of people might be feeling that way. This was literally, baseball fumbled the bag. Ready? They fucked up. Dropped an F-bomb there. They fucked up. You literally had, people are dying for sports. They're stuck at home. They can't watch anything. They literally are stuck at home. There's nothing else to watch on TV.
You can't tell me it's not fucking possible. I've watched Japanese baseball over the past 2 weeks.
You're telling me you couldn't get a deal done in time? You literally had all eyes. The Michael Jordan, listen, Last Dance was awesome, but the viewership it got, we're talking like NFL, like unbelievable NFL game numbers for a documentary.
Yeah.
That's because people are so desperate to watch anything. Last Dance was good, but still. Baseball was in the perfect opportunity. People had nothing to do. They would have watched baseball because there's nothing else on. And it's the last sport that's going to come back. Out of all the sports, the fact that baseball is coming back after basketball and after hockey, maybe. We don't even know if it's coming back. That's just stupid to me. That's just stupid. Like, how could baseball not capitalize on that?
What's the newest?
So the newest
89
one,
games.
The newest one the players offered it was 89 games, fully prorated salaries, which means like the percentage of what their actual salary was. So let's say you made like $25 million. They would divide that by 89 games, and that's the money you'd get. Like, basically, like your average per game salary for regular, that's what you would get. So if you play 89 games, you get 89 games worth of salary.
Yeah.
So the league doesn't want that. MLB is pushing for 50% or 75%. They actually don't want proration at all. They want a cut. So whatever money gets made, they're going to pool it, kind of like how waitresses pool tips.
Yeah.
You get this much money. If your team made like $25 million, that's all you got. That's what the players get. And you split it up between the players. Which, obviously, if you're an MLB player, why the fuck would I put my body at risk and my career at risk for maybe $5 million? If I'm Mike Trout, why would I potentially suffer a career-ending injury at any moment for $5 million? Wouldn't do it. So it's a huge fight. I am on the side of the players for the most part because I don't really see how the players are doing anything wrong. They're just asking for what they're owed. But baseball, I mean, read the room. Like, you maybe take the hit on this one. Like, so they're saying they're going to lose billions of dollars by playing the season the way they want it. I don't see how you lose that much money by playing. They're more willing to just sacrifice the entire season than play, which makes no sense. At least if you play, you get the TV revenue and you get the advertisement revenue and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't play, you don't get anything. And I guess you just don't have to play the players. But I just don't see how that works for anybody because then you're just pissing off your team. Yeah. So I just think it's the biggest wasted opportunity for baseball.
So I got a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
They play 89 games.
Yeah.
Some dude is just red hot for 89 games. That's $475.
Mm-hmm.
Does it count?
I think it counts. I'm actually the one bright side of all this is I'm hoping that baseball will look at a shortened season and say, maybe we should cut some games off. Now, 89 games is too short. That's half the season. That's like if the NBA played 40 games, not enough. But
120 games.
120 games, perfect. That's what that was what they were supposed to do initially. Was they're going to do 120 games, shortened season. We're going to be good to go, and then the owners got greedy, and now we're down to from what I read before we came on live, the best case scenario we get like a 75 game season, or even a 60 game season. That's the best case scenario, which is insane.
Jeez.
That's insane. That the owners let it get this bad. It's just it's a bad look for baseball for a sport let's admit it's dying. Baseball is a dying sport in terms of its viewership. Like, people are not watching anymore. People are going to the ballparks anymore.
In more terms than just its viewership, you go. I know a bunch of local little leagues that don't get as many kids as they used to come out.
Yeah, baseball is a sport that just kind of it's America's pastime. But you got NFL is dominating. NBA is dominating. Even soccer's starting to come up a little bit more in America. Kids are leaning towards these sports more. And baseball's always going to be there, but baseball's now kind of...
More kids want to be like, I don't know.
Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
Than they want to be like Aaron Judge.
Exactly.
Aaron Judge is still awesome, and baseball's still a great sport, and it's still a great product.
More kids want to be Steph Curry than they ever would want to be
Mike Trout.
That's
just a fact, and that's just a nature of the sport. It's nothing baseball can do about that. But what baseball needs to realize is, like, they need to fight harder than any league to keep their fans.
Yeah. Because
here's the other thing, too. It's kind of a dark note. Their diehard baseball fans are guys who are all, how do I put it nicely, on the way out. The diehard baseball fans. Yes, you have people like me and you who are like diehard Red Sox, Yankees, so we'll always be fans. But a lot of the diehard, they're all older people who are alive before the NFL kind of grew to what it was, and before the NBA grew to what it was, when baseball was like the king of sports in America. Like, those people are all on the way out. Yeah. Those people are all older, and in the next 10 years, they're going to continue to die out. And then where's your fan base?
Because, honestly, there's not. So the NBA and the NFL, right, as, science has gone on, athleticism's gone up, you can see the difference in talent between the 80s basketball.
Yep. Steph Curry now, and let's say, I don't know, pick a point. Well, I mean, Steph Curry's a superstar, but even compare Steph Curry like a Clyde Drexler.
Yeah.
Completely different kind of athlete.
Lamar Jackson to any quarterback that's ever played the sport before.
Imagine Lamar Jackson playing in the era of like Terry Bradshaw.
Yeah.
Not even close. Like you see that progression.
You take Nolan Ryan and throw him in today's game. Man, he's perfectly
Baseball
fine.
is kind of the one sport that you can compare all-time greats.
It's plateaued.
Baseball is the one sport you can
Now
take.
I'm not talking about the 60s. I'm talking about the 80s, 90s, when dudes were actually throwing mid-90s. And, you take Mark McGwire, I bet you he bats at least 250.
If he's still on steroids, yeah.
Yeah. I'm taking steroids. Steroids, Mark McGwire. Sammy Sosa. All those guys. You take them all and throw them in the baseball today.
You tell me Reggie Jackson in today's game wouldn't still be that great player? Like, that's the thing. Now, obviously, you're talking, like, pre-1950s. Like, you bring Ted Williams in today's game.
He won't know how to act.
No.
But I'm saying you bring half the NBA into today's game, they wouldn't know how to act.
No. Completely different. But I got your point, and I agree with you on that. That's why I think baseball is...
You take Scottie Pippen... No offense. Scottie Pippen and throw him in some today's game. These guys are bigger, faster, and stronger than that time frame. I'm not saying that
Scottie Pippen at the time was like the big strong guy. Nowadays, he'd just be an average to below average athlete.
I'm not saying he's would be an average to below average basketball player.
Yeah, but
athleticism-wise, strength-wise, he'd be lower on the spectrum.
If you go pick any player on like even an NBA bench, and you look at their muscle and you look at their physique, it's better than even MJ was. Like, even they were just showing a list of, like, because it's just funny we said that because they were showing a list of, like, free agents that a team can't lose on Bleacher Report. And they showed Marcus Morris. And you see the dude, like, he is huge.
Did you see the picture of Ben Simmons today?
Yeah. Insane.
Absolute unit.
Yeah. That's what I
mean.
Like, that's... Whew, those guys are huge. Like,
and I'm not taking anything away from those all-time greats in the 80s.
Skill is still important,
The skill is there.
We're talking purely athleticism.
You go back to the 80s, there's not a Russell Westbrook in sight.
Russell Westbrook would be like an alien. They wouldn't know. They would be like, where did this dude come from?
Yeah. Or
they would just think he's on a lot of steroids.
Obviously, you watch that Michael Jordan documentary and you're like, dude, this guy could fly through the air and all this stuff. He dunks from the free. But the power Russell Westbrook dunks with, that he drives the lane with, is just non-existent. I mean, I understand they messed each other up. They punched each other when they went through the lane, but like Ja Morant, like these dudes are just
compared to John Stockton.
Yeah,
I love John Stockton. I'm just saying when you
compare those
John
two
Stockton
guys.
Looks like your dad. Just looks like your dad.
Exactly. So you take the top 15 athletes out of the NBA today, like out of the 80s NBA.
Yep.
And you take the top 15 athletes out of today's NBA. You still have a shit ton of athletes in today's NBA. How many do you have in the 80s?
I mean, Larry Bird was considered one of the peak athletes of the time.
Yeah. How many do you have left?
Yeah. And Larry Bird
you have a shit ton of.
He works at the Costco in Indiana.
Yeah. You have a bunch of guys in the 80s that would not be even close to the NBA.
So that's the thing. And baseball is that, like you said, it's one of those sports where it's like, spot the difference. You really can't. You could plug more. You could take Mike Trout today, throw him back in the 80s, and you'd say he's still a great player, but you wouldn't be like, oh, wow. Look, like if you put, as much as I don't like LeBron, you put LeBron in the 80s, you're going to be like, is this real?
Today's science LeBron, his body, his physique, you take Miami Heat LeBron and you throw him in the damn 80s.
Yeah. They're going to be like, what is this? Is this a human being?
You're telling me Bill Laimbeer is going to want to step in front of him?
Yeah, but then exactly. But you throw Mike Trout in the 80s, just be like,
he's batting. Okay, he bats 330, 340.
Yeah. Great, exactly. So great player, but no one's gonna look at Mike Trout and be like, holy shit, where the fuck did this guy come from?
Yeah.
They're just going to be like, oh, he's a great baseball player.
Great baseball player.
Yep. But no one's going to be like, holy shit. Like LeBron would be like, this can't be real. Like they'd think they're in the Matrix. But
yeah.
That's the thing. But baseball, baseball, the last couple of years have just made every wrong move they possibly could make.
Oh, yeah. They're going down the drain. It's going to suck. But you know what? We probably won't have baseball in 20 years. Hopefully we still have football with concussions and all that shit. But hopefully you never know. In 20 years we could be left with soccer and basketball.
Wouldn't be the most mad about that. I mean, I'd miss the other sports, but like at least
I'd miss football.
John Hardell, I don't know what would happen. Johnny Hardell without football, is he even Johnny Hardell?
I don't think so. He's got 2K still.
That's
as long as they plug in another 2K game out there, you'll be okay. We'll have golf.
Yeah, do you think
that's the best news we've gotten since quarantine started?
Yeah.
Golf game.
Yeah. Do you think baseball? Do you think it could actually like disappear from like the world? Like, do you think that's kind of interesting?
Not from the world. I bet you Japan will still have their baseball.
Well, no, but I mean, like, do you think the MLB would just fold? Can you imagine a league with like over 100 years of history just kind of just? They might have to. They may be put in that financial situation.
You never, dude. I don't know. If you start losing money every year, and you can't stay alive. You can't stay afloat.
Owners are going to start getting rid of the teams, and then eventually no one's going to want a team.
Well, are we going to be stuck with Yankees, Red Sox every day? Is that the only two things?
I think it'd still be pretty awesome.
Yankees, Red Sox every day?
It would still be. They would find a way to make it crazy. But I just can't believe baseball. Like I said, the most wasted opportunity of all time to boost your ratings back up.
Yeah. You're telling me you wouldn't be watching baseball today if it was on?
100%. I would be watching it every day. Like I've said it before. We both said it before on the podcast. We'll watch highlights, and once in a while we'll watch a game. But normally, I'm not sitting there and watching this 3+ hour baseball game every day. I'm not. But quarantine, Tasso, when I got nothing else better to do, 100%, I'd grab a beer and watch a 3-hour game. I'd crave it. Right now, if you told me, I know it's 11:30, but if you told me, hey, West Coast, Mike Trout and the Angels are on, I would go and watch it right now.
I'd probably know a lot more players in baseball than I did last year.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. You get maybe more fans because now people have no choice but to watch. People
exposure to athletes.
Exactly.
Mike. No fans.
Now all of a sudden people are like, wait a second, that white guy from the Angels, he's pretty good. I don't know his name, but he's pretty good.
Yeah.
Maybe Mike Trout becomes popular.
Who knows? No fans. Don't fucking import the fan noises.
Mm-hmm.
Mic those players up.
They had literally the golden opportunity to bring brand exposure, bring more fans back to the game, and they just because now here's the thing. Let's say they do come back. If they come back on this like 89, 75 game schedule, they're gonna start right around the same time the NBA and NHL start. Their regular season is now going up against the NBA and NHL playoffs. And then the MLB playoffs are going against NHL finals, NBA finals.
Beginning of football.
And football season. And, well, no, not basketball season, and college football and golf because the Masters are going to be in the fall. Good luck to you, baseball. Good luck.
The MLB it's going to fold. If I was a betting man and you told me if in my lifetime,
sports league would
if I live healthy and nothing happens to me, that the MLB were to fold, I would say yes.
It's honestly, the one professional sport I think could see it folding.
Yeah.
Because even NHL, which isn't nearly as popular, NHL isn't going down. It's going up.
Yeah, they're going up, and a lot of damn people are going to be watching this NHL playoffs.
And not only that, well, that's the thing too. Is like the summertime, you're just giving these other sports league more exposure.
So Tassos, you ready for this? Mm-hmm. The ratings go through the roof for the NHL, right?
Yep.
This whole 24 playoff March Madness thing is just so sick. You think they bring it back?
Oh, 100%. And that's the other thing that baseball messed up. You had the perfect season, NBA too. MLB more so. You could do whatever the fuck you want. This is the year you experiment.
Yeah.
This is because that's the thing. You piss people off with the robot umps you throw in a mid-season.
Yeah.
you had a season where nobody would give a fuck. You could try everything out. You could try.
Dude, we could have had robot umps.
You could have tried juicing the balls more. You could have tried pitching clocks. You could have tried 6-inning games. They were supposed to do that. It was going to be called a Frankenstein season. They were going to throw a bunch of ideas that they've had the last 5 years, throw them all in there and test it out.
Yeah.
And you could have taken the best parts
and
kept it for the future to better the game. Instead, they want to be greedy, and now we're going to get regular baseball, half the length, going up against NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs, NFL, golf, soccer. That's the other thing, too. Champions League has not concluded. But, all right. First show back in the books. Again, not too much to talk about because we're still in the early stages of relaunching the sports world, but we're back.
Feels good to be back in the same room.
Yeah, and not have to be social. Although, let's be honest, I went over your house quite a few times during the quarantine.
Yeah, we didn't really social distance.
No.
But what are you going to do to us?
I mean, you want to put me in jail? Go ahead and put me in jail. I don't give a fuck. Bad boys for life.
Imagine, if we had the rights to that song, you just end the episode right there, just kick it in.
I wish. That's the other thing. We got some big things coming in terms of maybe it's a little cashola in our pocket, maybe. Who knows? But we're working on relaunching the podcast, bringing us back, getting back to normal. But that's our show for tonight. Thank you for listening. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. So because we're back in studio, I am looking into buying a camera because we were doing Zoom calls, so we had YouTube videos of the podcast. I actually have found a camera I think I'm going to get this week. So we'll have video feed. There's no video of this episode, but if you want to go back and watch our other episodes that are on YouTube, some of our audio clips on YouTube, they're on there. Subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the podcast. Spence, take us away. Signing off. This is the Greek Freak.
This is Spence Smoke taking the train off the tracks. Everybody have a great rest of June.